Get around bigger transformations. And what I want to talk about a little bit is why we need to make sure that we're weight training, not only just doing calisthenics, body weight. Our body adapts to whatever changes we put upon it. So for years I thought all I needed to do was body weight exercise. So in the summer I'd train outdoors with a TRX, grip training, sometimes I'd bring some weight, but I really got away from weightlifting for quite a few years working in a personal training studio. And I realized the benefits or what I was missing. I realize now, in order to keep my tissue and my fascia adapting and changing, especially for my body weight. So if our body weight stays the same, our body starts to adapt to that training style. And if we're adding weights, now it's like we're carrying extra weights, and now our body has to adapt, change. And then there's plenty of key exercises that I realized that I was missing, that we're not maybe getting when we're doing just body weighted training, which are deadlifts, huge for the hamstrings, glutes, kind of full body movement pattern, weighted calf raises. You got to keep that tissue moving. Mine kept getting tighter and tighter over the years. Thankfully, with my work with the percussion therapy, I've been able to speed along this process of getting my body back to where it was, and finding out kind of what I was missing. And that's kind of what this I've always done, is these experiments with my own body over my lifetime, being a personal trainer and massage therapist for years. Another key one is knee extensions. I thought we were kind of training our quads equally, doing lunges, squats, and all that. But very rarely do we get an exercise where we're getting into this kind of full knee extension. I know there've been controversy about this years ago, and even again I had gotten away from it because I don't have the equipment here. So I'll make a video. I rigged up my own knee extension with resistance bands. I'm going to try and see if I can come up with some other ways. But we want to make sure that we're either resistance is another form of weight training. It forces our body to kind of adapt and change, and this is why you kind of need all modalities when we're exercising, to make sure that we're not plateauing and that we're seeing changes, and that if our body is shifting in a way, maybe we're injuring ourselves or something, where we want to shift into a different form of exercise, or just make sure we're adding in enough variety. That's the biggest thing that I realized that I was missing. I was not getting all my angles, my twisting, my rotating, my weights. We need this huge combination of movement patterns, just because we don't do as much as we used to throughout our daily lives. We're either sitting at a computer, maybe we're standing, we're training, whatever the case may be, we're just not moving enough. And this is where exercise comes in, to make sure that we're targeting all our muscle groups in specific oriented ways that are beneficial for each person. Everybody has their own kind of flow, if you will, I've realized. So ways that they kind of do, maybe they pop their hip out, or they sit with the leg up. All these things should be addressed when training, because again, these things that we do in everyday life is what we bring to the gym, and when we're training somebody, we want to make sure that we're addressing these issues, or we're talking with them about posture, how they're sitting, how that adapts, how that changes, and then exercises to help them kind of break these patterns or habits, to make sure they're not going to either A, injure themselves, or B, become stagnant, but two, also to just give them the information that's needed and required to understand what they're doing, and how these small things in our lives kind of add up to a lot of different issues that we just don't really kind of sometimes get, because all of a sudden my elbow hurts, but I didn't do anything. Well, it's because of how I was moving my shoulder and how I was moving my hip, and the list can go on and on. Maybe you're using a mouse, maybe you're writing with a hand. There's a million different reasons why these things happen, and basically it just comes down to overuse, overusing a certain movement pattern again and again and again. That's where the muscle memory comes in, because the muscles remember certain movement patterns and whatnot. So just make sure that you're getting in enough weight training. If you're not using weights, if you're just doing body weighted at home or something like that, make sure you're just hitting all your angles and addressing things that you may or may not kind of normally get into your routine. We tend not to, we gravitate towards things we like to do. Nobody likes to do the things they don't. And that's kind of where a personal trainer, or if you're knowledgeable enough to make sure that you're doing things you don't want to do, unfortunately. Even for myself as a trainer, it's hard to make sure that we're doing all these things that we should be doing. Any questions, comments, please feel free to ask. Thank you.